morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Monday, the 12th day of February, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. The perfect tip of the day, and it goes right, fits hand in glove with Firearms Monday. If you own what you consider, it doesn't matter what anybody else considers, if you own what you consider a precision rifle, what you need to be doing is to buy your ammunition by the case. Make sure it's a factory sealed, unopened case. The reason? You'll get all the ammunition would have been made on one shift, on one set of machinery, by one and inspected by one set of inspectors. That's your greatest chance of having the highest quality and ammunition that will all be consistent one round from the other if you do that by the case. Beginning today, we're going to have a breaking news update at the beginning of each show. This morning will be the inauguration of that. The breaking news this morning is over the weekend, a Russian passenger aircraft jet flying out of Moscow crashed shortly after takeoff, which is minor news by itself for us in the West. The news regarding it that's important is that there were two potential witnesses on there, Russian nationals, one who could give testimony about the uranium-1 sale, the other who could give testimony about the creation of that Russian dossier. My belief, I have no evidence, but my belief is that the Russian government themselves probably brought down this plane because they, in fact, were the ones. The Russian government wanted Hillary Clinton to be the next communist president, and they're trying to cover up their tracks as to their involvement with what was actually going on there. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Jimmy Ginsling. Jimmy is the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. His website is deserteagleshooters.com, and we're anticipating a real high-quality audio this morning from Jimmy. Good morning, Jimmy.
Well, I hope the audio's okay. We haven't got the Skype thing worked out yet. So
okay.
Hopefully my audio is at least satisfactory.
Well, for the moment it is. If we can continue like this, we're going to do okay.
All right.
All right, Jimmy. Well, we look forward every Monday to the firearms tip of the week. What would that be this week, sir?
Well, our firearms tip of the week comes from a gun show that we had this weekend and everything. We were talking to several individuals that were interested in getting into long-range precision shooting. And one of them, we really got into a very in-depth conversation on it and had just had a nice little audience listening in. And what I explained to them, individuals that want to get into long-range precision shooting, the very first thing that they have to verify is that the gun is capable of it. And this gentleman had a rifle that was very accurate in his point of view. He never seemed to miss. And when he applied himself, he did put that caveat. It's not a magic rifle, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that, in his opinion, it's very accurate. And I had to explain to him the difference between accuracy and precision. Accuracy, ladies and gentlemen, is being able to, let's say you're at 400 yards and you've got a 10-inch target, and you manage to hit that 10-inch target 10 out of 10 times. That is accuracy. Precision is when you hit that 10-inch target 10 times, but the group on that target is 3 inches or less in size. That is a precision rifle because that shows that the rifle is capable of shooting at a minute of angle of accuracy or less. Now, a minute of angle is real simple math. The quick and dirty explanation is a minute of angle at 100 yards is 1 inch. A minute of angle at 500 yards is 5 inches. A minute of angle at 275 yards is 2 3/4 inches. So for every 100 yards or division thereof, it is multiplied by 1, the 1 inch. Now, actually, it works out to 1.3, blah, 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 but 1 inch is close enough for 99% of the people in the world. So, in discussing that, I explained to him that to prove this, there are 2 ways. One is to get what we call a machine rest. We sell several kinds through the store and everything, but what they are, ladies and gentlemen, is a rifle rest that you place the rifle in and you tighten down a set of clamps on the buttstock and you adjust the front support up or down so that when you're looking through your sights or through your scope, it is held perfectly on your target. The only thing from the human standpoint that contacts the rifle is your cheek weld and your finger. Your finger, of course, operating the trigger. You're not gripping the rifle. You're simply laying your head on it, getting your cheek weld, your sight picture, and taking your shots. In doing that, you're eliminating as much of the human factor as you can. A while back, a friend of mine coined a phrase that I've kind of adopted. Rifles hate me because I make them look bad. And by saying that, I've got several rifles that shoot well under a minute of angle of accuracy and precision. And when I am operating them off of a sandbag or off of a bipod, my human error is what makes the group larger or smaller. And my human error makes the rifle look bad. But I appreciated the way he put that, and it was a good joke at the time, and it's a good one to keep around. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you do, the second aspect that you can use other than a machine rest is what we call sandbagging. And you have a large sandbag at the front, and you rock the rifle back and forth into that sandbag to make a depression that holds the forestock or the fore end of the rifle in place. And on the rear end, you have a couple of smaller sandbags under the buttstock, and you work that down into it and keep rocking it back and forth and burying it deeper and deeper into the sandbags until you have a steady sight picture of your target. Basically, you're mimicking the machine rest, but you're doing it with sandbags. Once you get that, then you can take 2 more sandbags and place them on either side of the buttstock and wedge them in, thump on them with your fists and everything to make sure it's anchored properly. And that will give you a reasonable facsimile of a machine rest with sandbags. And again, the only thing that's touching your rifle in that instance is your cheek for the cheek weld and your trigger finger just actually touching the trigger and pulling the trigger. By doing that, ladies and gentlemen, if your rifle will sit there locked down so it can't move, and sometimes with some rifles and sandbags and everything, you'll have to readjust this for each shot because recoil will move things. But if you're consistent on making sure that it's locked down and you can shoot a 10-inch group, and at 100 yards, that group is 1 inch in diameter or less, then you've got a rifle that is capable of precision long-range shooting. If you do that and your group is, say, 2.5 inches, well, now you have a 2.5 MOA that you have to deal with in shooting long distance. And that amplifies problems because whereas trajectory, spin drift, Coriolis effect, temperature, altitude, and humidity can all be calculated into the firing solution, a 2.5 minute of angle accuracy is not going to be added into that because it's the wild card now. And that inside of 500 yards, that doesn't play a lot. But beyond that, it plays more than you want to gamble with. And, for example, a 2.5 minute of angle discrepancy, or I should say window of accuracy at 1,000 yards is 20.5 inches. And if your target is 10 inches in diameter, which is 1 MOA at 1,000 yards, the chance of hitting that target just because of the difference in impact point is slim to none. So hopefully that little aspect of it, John, for your firearms tip of the week, determining your rifle, it will help some folks out. And I know it sounds a little bit of a drawn-out process. If you'd like a more complete checklist and everything and how to do this, you can always email me at jimi@hdc-nm.com, and I'll send you a sheet that you can use, and you can check this off as you go to make sure everything is as solid as you can get it for doing this. And if you missed the email, ladies and gentlemen, we'll repeat it a couple of times during the show, so just make sure next time you have your pen and paper ready.
All right. Well, I want to take that to the next step, and that would be attempting to come as close as possible to duplicating that while out in the bush, out in the field, which I'll describe how I do it, and I'll ask for your follow-up. That would be having the rifle equipped with a bipod on the front end, of course, and on the back end, one of these bean bags. It's a canvas bag with plastic pellets in it, so they won't absorb and hold water. They're lighter, a lot lighter than sand. Packed loose enough that when you put that bag under the back end of the buttstock, you can squeeze or release as necessary to raise or lower the muzzle to be able to get the optimal accuracy when you're out in the field and don't have those controlled conditions that you were just describing from a bench rest or some similar static position in a controlled environment on the range. I found it to be very effective myself, and I want to mention also, Jimmy, that from my knowledge of riflemen and rifle owners, I would say maybe 5% of men who own rifles can outshoot the rifle that they own. Almost always, the rifle will have more accuracy capability than the man holding it. Your response?
Oh, 100%, John. That comes back to the joke that I make guns look bad. On the bean bags, excellent point on that. That's part of the way that we teach. And I'll take it one step further. We use 2 bean bags. Now, the easiest way to make these, ladies and gentlemen, is to go to your local box store. A lot of your sporting stores and everything will have this, but they'll have a large container of airsoft BBs. And go in there and buy a couple of cans of those. Now, they're going to run you between, and get the cheapest ones you can find. Run you anywhere from $7 up to $14 for one of these canisters of BBs. And normally, the ones that I'm talking about advertised as having about 1,000 rounds in them. You can get 2,000 rounders, or if you see one of the big gallon jug type things full of them, which are normally the very cheapest, pick one of those up. And then when you get home, go through your sock drawer, and most everyone has at least 1 or 2 old pair of over-the-calf knee socks. Normally they're in cotton and you don't wear them much anymore because you transitioned over to your merino wool socks. And you take a pair of those out. You're going to need both of them. And the first one you're going to take and please use a funnel, a big funnel, because no matter how hard we try, those little BBs go everywhere. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, going to the bathroom, that's the worst thing in the world to step on in bare feet, especially on a hard floor. But what you're going to do is fill that sock about the consistency of where it's about the size of a Coke can in height. And then you're going to take and pull the sock up as tight as you can on those beads. And I use 550 cord, paracord, and put a couple of wraps around that there and tie it with a square knot and pull it as tight as you can and melt the ends of it. And when I melt the ends of my paracord, John, I typically will melt them both, and in a case like this, then I'll heat them again and melt them together. I'll hold them together with a pair of pliers or something.
Right.
And then you take that sock and you fold it back over itself and repeat tying the end of it off again. So now you have a double layer sock. Now this sock, when you get it done, is going to have enough flexibility to it that you can actually pat it flat. And when you pat it flat, it'll be somewhere between 1.5 inches and 2 inches high. Do another sock exactly like that. But what you're going to do is you're really going to stretch that down before you tie the knot on it and redo the paracord knots on it both ways. And you're going to have one that's more round than it is long and cylindrical shape like the first one. Now, the way John's explaining that, you're going to have those knots on either end of that. So you pat the first one down, set your rifle up on its bipod, and put that directly under. We'll get at that after the break.
Okay, here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 12th of February. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Quick reminder, I'll be speaking in Dallas in March. If you go to my website, libertyman.com, click on the banner there, you can get the discount for attending or a different discount if you are going to be listening to the video. Right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Jimmy, let's continue.
All right. We were talking about the bean bags. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten through the first one, and we're working on our second bean bag. Now, the first bean bag, we built it such that it was a little bit looser and it could be flattened out some. And the second one, we've made it so that it's just a little bit more round and a little bit more firm. The way this works is that when you set up in the field to shoot, like John said, you deploy your bipod, you get it anchored, and then you put the flat beanbag first under the buttstock, and then you put the second one on top of that. Now, the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is on uneven ground, if you're shooting uphill or across a hill or across a valley or something like that, where you're going to have elevation changes, it's not going to be a straight-on shot. The second bag underneath is going to help you keep the rifle high enough that you're not getting a crick in your neck, and you're also maintaining full capability on this. So, and something I'm going to cover here, John, I don't know if a lot of people know or if anybody's ever covered it with them, is preloading the bipod. When you get into this position, ladies and gentlemen, you're laying there prone, you lean into the buttstock and position your body that you have forward pressure, that if there is any sway back and forth in your bipod, that you're forcing that forward, and it's called preloading. What this does, ladies and gentlemen, when you take a shot, the recoil, of course, is going to push back. The bipod will ease back and absorb the recoil, and then when the shot is finished and you're back in your shooting position, you will have leaned forward again and preloaded that bipod. In doing that, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to eliminate any free movement in that bipod. There's always going to be a little bit of gap between hinges or legs or something like that that can really screw up a nice long-range shot. By preloading it, all of those variables right there we're eliminating to the best of our ability. And as a side note, John, you can, ladies and gentlemen, you can spend hundreds of dollars on a bipod from a quote-unquote name brand. You can pick up a incredibly durable, fully functional bipod at our store and everything for starting off at around $35, John.
That sounds about right.
And these run, the ones that we carry, the shortest are 6 to 9. That means 6 inches in the closed position, extend the legs to 9 inches, ladies and gentlemen. And then we've got a new one that we're carrying now that is called a 360. And the bipod is actually built into a ball socket that allows you to take up any differences in elevation between the legs, ladies and gentlemen, simply by easing the rifle into a correct position. Those run, I think, about $60. And they, of course, our bipods have lifetime warranties. Okay, shameless plug out of the way. We've got our stock, our bipod preloaded. We're leaning into it. We have the flat bean bag, then our rounder one on top of it, and it's sitting on our buttstock. What John was explaining is in your prone position with your, I'm talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, in the instance of a right-handed shooter. Your left arm and forearm is going to come just under your chest, and you're going to be gripping that top beanbag. Your first thing that you're going to do is you're going to scooch left or right and get your NPOA as far as windage goes. Your elevation will be controlled by the beanbag. If you're too low, meaning i.e. the beanbags are too high, with your hand on the one, you can wiggle it back and forth while pushing down on the butt of the rifle with your other hand and settle that beanbag into the other beanbag a little bit further and raise your elevation. If that doesn't work because of terrain, then you can extend the bipod legs and get those in position so that you can get as close to being on your target as possible. Then, ladies and gentlemen, for minor changes, up or down, say you're following, and it's a bottom of the hour break.
It is. Call numbers 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 12th of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. If you're new to my show and new to my website, there's a lot there, an awful lot. There's entertainment, there's education, there's information, just a lot. We got several free downloads there, some interesting videos I think you might enjoy looking at. And, of course, my home business, the energy cleaner. If you place an order for energy cleaner, I'm the guy that boxes them up, and I ship them from the little country post office in Cherryville, Missouri. Why would you need an energy cleaner? Well, here's why. If you've got arthritis pain, you need an energy cleaner. Joint pain, you need an energy cleaner. Back pain, same thing. You need an energy cleaner. The energy cleaner goes to the source of the pain, healing the source of the pain. That's how it works. I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner, so you're risking nothing when you get an energy cleaner. Most people these days are getting a factory-made fitted mattress pad to go with it. It's a great combination, very comfortable, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. Only $285 shipping included for the energy cleaner. The mattress pads vary in price by the size, of course. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. If you want to send a check, my address is right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. You want to place your order by calling my toll-free order line, give us a call. My toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website's deserteagleshooters.com. Take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. Well, Jimmy, I bought a couple of these bean bags that were a fundraiser for one of the local gun clubs that I just recently joined, by the way. It looks like they took an old military surplus duffel bag and cut out patterns, sewed them up, filled them with the plastic beans, and then had a handy little carrying handle on them so that you could slip the carrying handle through the sling and just have it right there on the rifle, ready to go at all times. I thought that was a pretty handy thing.
Yes, sir. Sounds like somebody put a little bit of forethought into that. And by using the socks, ladies and gentlemen, that's my quick and dirty way of doing it. But like John just described, you can make, if your wife wants to sew for you, or if you're one of the guys that's kind of like me that's multi-talented in certain ways, draw out and sew your own. And all it has to be is a cylindrical shape for either one of them and the same basic sizes. The important part is the top bean bag. Make sure it's a little bit firmer, but still able to compress down into it. One advantage of the sock is the sock will stretch and allow a little bit more movement up and down on that. You might find the canvas just a little bit stiff at times, John, especially in cold weather. But yes, that's an excellent, excellent idea to do it that way. And getting back to how we're using the beanbags, ladies and gentlemen, just before the break, we were discussing how we're in our prone position. We've got our bipod in front of us and everything. We've got the flat bag underneath the butt of the stock, the little rounder one on top of it. We have leaned into our rifle so that we've preloaded the bipod. And now you should have a very, very steady shooting platform. You've adjusted your body left and right for your windage adjustment on your target and gotten your NPOA that way. And now you're going to work on your elevation. In the example we used a while ago, the elevation was such that we wiggled the buttstock down into the beanbags a little bit more to raise the muzzle. The other situation, if that doesn't work, is to extend the legs on the bipod a notch or two and get it up to where you at least can find your target in the scope. And once you've got this all done and you're all steadied up on it, the first thing to do is to make sure that you've got your cheek weld and you're relaxed and you've got that weight on that buttstock, and look through your scope, get your sight picture and everything, and instead of moving anything else, ladies and gentlemen, if you're high on your target, by squeezing the beanbag on top, you're going to raise the buttstock a little bit. And again, you're helping to remove some of that human input that we can do to the rifle by squeezing it and raising the buttstock a little bit. Then you're going to get your sight picture a little bit better, and you might have a little bit of left or right that you have to do. But again, by rolling your hand back and forth, you can adjust windage slightly. Now, in the situation that you're looking at it and it's too low, you're too low on your target, then again, you're going to wiggle that buttstock into those beanbags a little bit and get it to where you're just slightly above it, and then by squeezing, you're going to bring yourself down into it. Ladies and gentlemen, that beanbag or beanbag combination with a good bipod will improve your shooting ability tenfold, because you're helping to eliminate the human input that goes into making that shot. And where John and I right now are discussing this in the aspect of target shooting, it becomes even more important if you're trying to feed your family and that deer or goat or rabbit or whatever is at a bit of a distance out there, and you have to be as accurate as you can. All of our target training, ladies and gentlemen, gets us ready for the field. And you heard John and I discuss it before. Don't limit your shooting to one position or two positions in the field, in your training sessions. Shoot in unorthodox manners. Take a duffel bag out there and throw it on the ground and use it in the front, but it's simulating a log. So you don't want to have the rifle directly resting on that, because the harmonics can mess up your shot. So you're going to use something to cushion between the rifle and that simulated log, or a real log if you happen to have one. Good time to walk in the woods. Use different shooting positions from different objects. But whenever you are doing that, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got an extra bean bag or the one that you use for your bottom bag, toss that up on the log and use that to get your rifle steady on. Just things after things that will go along, and you can think up as many good shooting scenarios and exercises with you and your wife or your husband or your kids out walking through the woods. Pick out a target, first off, make sure of what's behind your target. You don't want to be shooting at something on a stump and then realize that there's a road just, 50 yards past that you can't see. So safety in mind, and set up and practice those exercises. And again, like John said, in the field, practice using those bean bags. Practice using that bipod. Getting your preload, getting your MPOA, getting everything as steady as possible, and then taking your shot. So, excellent tip this morning, John, and then bringing it into made a good first hour on this.
Well, I'm gonna take it to the next level here, and this would be for sighting in purposes, not for in the field. And here it is. You go through all the procedures. Say you got a machine rest, and you go through all these procedures, and you put that first round downrange. Then wait until the barrel cools off back to the ambient temperature that it started out at before you take your second shot. Now, I know it takes a lot longer. You're basically tripling or quadrupling the amount of time you're going to be on the range. But under most circumstances, whether it's hunting or self-defense, there's going to be that first shot will be the most critical shot from a cold barrel. So if you want to know and sight in with a cold barrel, there's only one way to do it that I'm aware of, and that's to make sure each shot while you're sighting in is taken from a cold barrel. Your response?
Oh, perfect. We can go into this quite a bit more. What I do on my break-in procedures, the first 10 rounds on the break-in procedure, is I fire my shot, I open the action, I take a cleaning rod, and cheapest break-in cleaning fluid you can use, John, that does an excellent job and is absolutely perfect, is window cleaner without ammonia. Important, ladies and gentlemen, without ammonia. If there's ammonia in it, you don't clean that out immediately, you'll start rusting the inside of your barrel. You'll be destroying what you're trying to preserve. So when I open it up, that barrel is warm, and I have this patch soaked in this window cleaner, and I run that back and forth through there. Two things that it does. One is it helps cool down the barrel inside out, just the way it heated up. But two, it also brings back, John, that first shot being normally from a clean, cold barrel. That's why we call it a cold bore shot. And in developing this, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of rifles out there, and it's simply because of the way they were broken in. Your first shot is going to be 2 inches high and 1 inch left, and then everything else from the warm barrel on is going to be in your bullseye. Once you've got accustomed to this and you know where that cold bore shot is, by doing John's method here, let it cool down and then place your second shot. You get a group that's like that, let's say it's 2 inches high and 1 inch to the left. If you've got target turrets on your scope and you have them, well, we re-index target turrets, ladies and gentlemen, after we're sighted in, to move the numbers on the turret itself back to where they're 0-0 lined up. And what I have taught people, John, that when they have a situation like that where the first round is 2 inches high and to the left, and then after that everything is dead on, that when they are done shooting for the day, that they automatically dial in 1 inch or let's say this is at 100 yards, 1 MOA left and 2 MOA high. What that does, ladies and gentlemen, is that cold bore shot, instead of having to do the mental gymnastics and math for the hold off or the correction, you aim at your game and you hold center mass or wherever you want to put the bullet, and you take that shot. In the event that, let's say you're at a shooting range and do that, after the first round, you return your turrets to 0 and continue your string that you're shooting, and that is going to put them all back down to the bull where it normally was. So, in the process of the cold bore shot, ladies and gentlemen, that is one reason why you'll hear snipers and these stories about snipers and everything tell you that, if they're honest, there was no one shot, one kill at 1,800 yards. The first shot, knowing that there's going to be a cold bore difference, your spotter is watching for the splash or the impact of the bullet into the dirt, rock, or whatever around it, relaying that information to the shooter, and the shooter making a correction on that. Now, in that correction, he already knows what the difference is in his cold bore shot. So, let's say it was at the 100 yards, we know that the splash is going to be 2 MOA higher than what the point of aim was. And when he does his correction for the firing solution and everything, he adds that, or actually subtracts that from his calculation that he comes up with to do a dead hold-on shot for the next shot. And it's a long, drawn-out process explaining it, ladies and gentlemen, but when you're actually doing it and you're used to doing it, it only takes a couple of seconds. Because these shooters or yourself that have developed these techniques stack on top of each other and keep them in their memory and start doing them from memory, just like we train our fingers and our hands for our steady hold factors, and we get that muscle memory built in. So, cold bore, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you've got any questions on this or need a more in-depth discussion on it, feel free to email me at jimi@hdc-nm.com, and I'll work back and forth with you on it. I've also coached several people over the phone on things like this. So if you've got questions, please ask. And on our next hour, John, when we get to it, I've got some updates from the Senate on national reciprocity, and I also have some updates on some of the rifles and handguns that are going to be coming up available through CMP.
Good, because I know that myself and other people are anxiously waiting for those updates. They're very important updates, and look forward to hearing about that. It always comes back to practice, doesn't it, Jimmy?
Yes, sir. It's instinct. And instinct is just another name in the shooting world for muscle memory.
That's right.
It's part of your training and everything else. They'll tell you to index the target. Well, the first time you hear that, you're like, okay, I have to grab my 3x5 index card, and, well, no. Oh, top of the nope, just before the break.
Thought, Jimmy. We got a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 12th of February, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website, deserteagleshooters.com. Got about 3.5 minutes here, Jimmy.
Okay, we can finish this part of it up. We were talking about muscle memory real quick, and like getting into the prone position, instructor will tell you to index the target, and we explain that that has nothing to do with pulling out your 3x5 card and drawing pictures and everything else of your target. And other instructors will address it as address the target. And, you know, most of us look up and go, hello, target. But what that is, when you get in a prone position, ladies and gentlemen, you're not laying straight line towards the target. You're about 30 degrees off your support side toward the target, so that when you're holding the rifle, you have got this 30-degree angle roughly, and you're comfortable, and you can get your support leg up and get your feet settled and everything else. So in doing that with the muscle memory, by practicing these long-range shots or your handgun shooting or whatever, you're building that muscle memory. And each time that you do an exercise, ladies and gentlemen, and you do it the same way, your brain, the great creative thing that it is, sits there and incorporates that. So the next time that you walk up to the line or you're out deer hunting and you've got to take a prone position, you automatically lay down in that 30-degree plus or minus, and you're ready to get steadied up and get your shot. So nomenclature, ladies and gentlemen, in the gun culture gets kind of interesting sometimes. Common words that you may know as having one meaning will mean something else. But the important thing is, no matter how you say it and no matter what you call it, when you do your practice, your dry fire practice, your target practice, your unorthodox position shooting, whatever, your brain has already got in its memory banks how your body should be positioned for that particular shooting position. So, like John said, practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more muscle memory you build, the more instinctive your shooting will be. And I had the joy last week, John, of watching one of my friends playing with a new pistol, and I'd set up some targets on the pistol range and asking, okay, Chuck, run these, but run them without using your sights. And so when I called time, he drew, addressed each target, fired 2 shots, next target 2 shots, next target 2 shots, and it was amazing, ladies and gentlemen, at the number of hits that he had.
Amazing. Jim, we got a break. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Monday, the 12th of February. Prepper tip of the day. I encourage all of you to, if you are a precision marksman, to buy your ammunition for your precision rifle, buy the full, unbroken, still sealed up case. You're more likely to get all the ammunition that have been manufactured on one shift from the same workers with the same inspectors. You're more likely to get the highest level of consistency if you do that. Buy your ammunition, buy the case, all a sealed case from the factory. This is Firearms Monday, and we visit with Jimmy Gensling. And this second hour, Jimmy's going to give us some updates on what's going on in the United States Congress regarding firearms legislation. Let's go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, for our firearms tip of the week and everything, ladies and gentlemen, it's best to go back and listen to the first hour in the archives because we got fairly deep into beanbags and determining the precision ability of your rifle. But there has been some interesting developments, some movements going on in a few areas that we've always been watching. And the first being the National Reciprocity Act. Ladies and gentlemen, March 1st, it will have been 1 year that the National Reciprocity Bill has been sitting in the Senate. 1 year. It passed through the House. It got all of the necessary votes. It was supported and amended accordingly to correct some minor wording changes that some people, including myself, were not happy with, mainly because they were too vague. And so it went through the House, got passed, and it went over to the Senate. Mitch McConnell, ladies and gentlemen, we need to tear up these phone lines. You need to call your friends, text your friends or whatever, and give them one phone number. That phone number, and I'll repeat it several times this hour so that you can make sure you get it, or if you miss it, you can email John or myself and get on this thing. The number you want to remember is 202-224-3121. And that will take you right into the Capitol switchboard. The first person that you want to ask for is Senator Mitch McConnell's office. Ladies and gentlemen, he may not be your senator. However, in his position of leading the Senate, he is your senator because his decisions affect your livelihood, your state, everything about you. His decisions affect you, so you are his constituent. The second is to call your senators. Here in New Mexico, unfortunately, we are blessed with two useless Democrat senators, neither of which is pro-gun in any way. However, ladies and gentlemen, both of them want to get reelected. So you put pressure on your senators. I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or Martian. You call them and you get their office and tell them that you need to see the Reciprocity Act come back to the floor and get voted on. And you're not going to let them off the hook until that's done. We've got to hammer these people, ladies and gentlemen. Every phone call that they get, they consider that there are 100 that wanted to make that phone call but didn't. For every letter, handwritten letter they receive, that represents to them in their thinking and in their logic 1,000 people wanted to but didn't. They do answer emails. Those become part of the record on their fact-checking and history-keeping because they have to keep copies of those. And that works. But the petitions that you see advertised on your internet links and everything, most of those don't do anything at all because they can be played with either way, fictitious names, addresses, and things like that. So the internet petitions that you see, I really wouldn't waste my time. I would spend my time calling my congressmen, my senators, Mitch McConnell, Ryan, all of those on issues that concern you. And then again, the greatest, all-time greatest attention getter is a handwritten letter. That really grabs their attention and they pay attention to it because it is so rare nowadays. So that's the legislative front, ladies and gentlemen. Now for the good news, John.
Okay.
We have mentioned a couple of times about the 1911s that are going to be the mill surplus that are going to be coming available through CMP to the civilians. Well, there's going to be a couple of others, some of which that are already arriving, and I'll get to those in just a minute. But first, I want to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, what the CMP is and what it is not. Several of these news feeds and everything I've read down in the comment section, I have read things like, oh, yeah, CMP is going to go through. They're going to cherry pick all the really, really primo ones. and they're going to call their friends and buddies and great-great-grand dog and everybody else and let them know that they can get this particular one at a special deal through them, and they'll make sure they get it. Well, it don't work that way. CMP, ladies and gentlemen, was set up by the U.S. government. It is a nonprofit organization, and the primary purpose of the CMP, much to most people's chagrin, was to train our militias. It was a federally funded and federally organized position for firearms training. And we got break coming up, John?
We're okay.
Oh, I've heard some music in the background there. Ladies and gentlemen, the people that operate CMP do not have any control over who gets the guns, who can have first dibs on this one, that one, or anything else. If they did, they would be removed from CMP very quickly, because they would have broken not only the local laws where they're at, but they would have broken several rules and regulations that are set into the CMP that basically constitute federal law. So that's number one. CMP cannot play favorites and purchase the best of the best at the lowest of the low prices that nobody else can get. That is a big fallacy. If you ever hear anyone say that, set them straight. Now, the second thing is, on the 1911s and these other ones that are going to be coming in, they're going to be on a lottery program. Now, in order to purchase these, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be a member of an approved gun club and or have gone through an approved training program. Appleseed is one of those. You complete the Appleseed 2-day course. You don't even have to make riflemen. But by attending that course, when you're done, there is a slip of paper that is green that they will give you, and you fill out your application, the hard copy application for your CMP membership, and you staple that on there as your proof, and you mail it in. Once you're in the system, then you can buy guns through that process. And there's a lot of, not just guns, there's all kinds of things that they sell from time to time. You can go to the CMP website and look up their information, and they've got a frequently asked question portion and things like that that can help you understand what they're talking about. But ladies and gentlemen, if you become a member, if you need any help on this or don't understand the process or whatever, again, drop me an email, jimi@hdc-nm.com. And I'll do everything in my power to help you get through this and get everything straightened out so that all of our listeners can have a chance to make a purchase of one of these things and just have great joy. The third thing, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen on several lists and everything, going back to the cherry picking and all that, oh yeah, the ones that you're going to get a chance to buy because somebody else already cherry picked the good ones is going to be these crap ones that are wall hangers and everything else. Ladies and gentlemen, federal law, again, forbids CMP from selling any firearm that is not safe and fully functional. They don't cobble things together back there in the armory just to make a gun that looks like this. They check every component. They strip every weapon down. They inspect them. They replace any parts that need to be replaced. These things are function checked and made sure that they fire and all the safeties work and everything else before they're even offered, ladies and gentlemen. Not before they leave to go to someplace, before they're even put on the rack to be offered. So hopefully those three things, ladies and gentlemen, will clear up all of these misconceptions and all of these lies that you're continually going to hear about CMP. Now, John, the good news is coming up hard and heavy now, because you are going to be very, very pleased, and several others are going to be very, very pleased with the news.
Right.
The 1911s are en route to the United States as we speak. They will be arriving at CMP. They have built an entirely new warehouse just for the 1911s and these other items that I'm getting ready to mention. Once they're in, they will be cataloged into the system, and they'll have their first cursory inspection, which basically cycling it, seeing if the trigger falls when they pull the trigger, and that it's a complete gun. Then it goes down the line. Once these are put into the inspection arena, ladies and gentlemen, again, each 1911 will be totally field stripped down to its component parts. Everything will be inspected. Any components that are worn that to the dangerous point will be replaced with a new part. And by the time that it has gone through the inspection process, test fired, it will be a fully functional U.S. Army or U.S. Navy, or let's just say U.S. military history piece. And they're talking, John, of the lottery on those starting somewhere around June. So the important thing is on this one, ladies and gentlemen, and we will keep you updated as to when that date comes, but do not put in for the lottery or request information on those or anything until after the release date is noted, because if you do, it's just going to sit there and do nothing. You'll think that you've already contacted them, and they wouldn't even have read the letter.
No, it has to be.
Now,
they won't accept anything postmarked before a certain date, and they haven't released the date yet.
Exactly. Now, this one, when I read this, John, I was so happy. CMP is already taken position of 107,000 mil surplus M1 Garands. These M1 Garands will go through the same lottery process. They're already inspecting them now. The M1 Garands came from, let's see
Turkey.
here.
Turkey is one place I know they came from.
They came from Turkey. And then the other one, I'll find it here in a minute because I'm looking at my notes.
Probably South Korea would be. I think it would be South Korea.
Yes, South Korea. So, ladies and gentlemen, over 100,000 M1 Garands are going to be coming onto the market through CMP. And the information that I got over the weekend at the gun show, John, and this is from an individual that I'm wanting to say it's either his nephew or his son-in-law, works at CMP in the Armorers Division. The prices for the rack grade M1s are going to be starting off somewhere around, don't chisel this in stone, ladies and gentlemen, but right now they're estimating that the rack grade are going to start around the $700 mark. That is incredible.
What would a similar rifle be bringing right now in the commercial market?
Ones that I see at gun shows that people have really cleaned up and really just made gorgeous. These are not 100% original because the serial numbers don't match on everything, but ones that are put into pristine shooting condition range anywhere from $1,800 to $3,000.
Really, that much?
That much, yes. Now, the best of the best. 600,000 M1As are going to be coming into the system this year from the Philippines. Really? Yes.
This is the first thing that's been news to me. That's 600,000.
600,000.
Whoa, baby.
M1 carbines.
Oh, carbines.
Yes.
Oh, they'll
Excuse
be
me.
lined up.
Did I say M14?
You said M1A, M14s first.
M1A. Excuse me. The M1 carbines. My mistake.
Okay.
My
All
mistake.
right.
But those are a sweet shooting little rifle.
Yep. Well, I've probably owned half a dozen over the years. I think I own about, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them right now, at least 2, maybe 3 of them. Those, the World War II issue M1 carbines are really high dollar items these days, aren't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're at a break.
Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 12th day of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. Check out the Dallas conference, Hear the Watchman, March 22nd to 25th. I will be the keynote speaker. You want to get $20 off? Just use the code there on the banner for the live performance. If you want $20 off the live stream, 20% off, you can use that code for that also. It's Firearms Monday. We're visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. This news about the M1 carbines, this must be pretty new. I tend to say pretty up to date with CMP. How long has this been out there for us to find out about, Jimmy?
I just picked up the information on it over the weekend. It came into my inbox. And was going through it, but I have a correction to make on that. It's an addition to it. There are 80,000 more M1 Garands, along with the 600,000 plus or minus M1 carbines that are going to be coming into the system sometime this year, and it's from South Korea and the Philippines.
Right.
So we are going to have
good news.
Opportunity.
All during the Obama administration, it was maddening to know that these South Korea, Turkey, Philippines wanted to get those back to us, and obviously receive, us get them. And the Obama administration stopped that from happening, all during his administration.
Yes, sir.
Didn't they? No.
Yes, they not only put up roadblocks, they built they dynamited bridges, mined the roads, everything that they could do to prevent this from happening. And one of the executive orders that the prior POTUS signed was supposed to be a permanent ban on retrieving any weapons that we had given or loaned to other countries under the MAP program. And that MAP, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is an acronym that stands for Military Assistance Program.
Right.
And not the Iran-Contra gun running deal or Fast and Furious. This one's legit.
Hardly.
But, ladies and gentlemen, what this means is that CMP is going to be receiving, checking out, inspecting, grading, and putting on the rack for you, me, our sons and daughters and grandchildren to not only own a piece of history, but own a piece of functioning history.
That's right.
That these rifles, ladies and gentlemen, I have always believed that every family should have at least one M1 Garand and one M14 for the family. And I still hold true to that, but now I say that husband and wife teams should each own an M14. That is the rifleman's rifle.
It is. It is. Well, I'll be working to get my hands on all three of these, the 1911, the M1 carbine, the M1 Garand. I'll probably be talking to my gunsmith about rebarreling the Garand to 308. Just adding one more caliber to my inventory is something I really don't want to do. Or maybe I'll just leave it like it is as a memento, a collector's item from World War II, and just keep it cleaned up, and it'll become a safe queen, as we sometimes say.
Well, the one piece of history that we can also pass on to our listeners today is that repeatedly you will hear news anchors, news people, politicians, even some of our own friends and everything ask, oh, do you have a clip for a Glock, or do you have any spare clips for a 1911? Ladies and gentlemen, those are magazines. There is only one rifle that has a clip, and that's the M1 Garand. It holds 8 rounds, and once the last round is fired, you hear this sparring as it ejects the clip.
Well, and I'm going to have to give you a gentle correction here. Jimmy.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay. Well, there's multiple military rifles that use clips. The M14, you can put a 5-round stripper clip through the top of it, for example. The British 303 Enfields, they all were equipped to take stripper clips. It's pretty common in the older military rifles for them to be equipped to take a stripper clip. Now, the clip for the M1 Garand is called an end block. It's a bit unusual, but it's still a clip. And so with that gentle correction, yes, it's important to know the difference between a magazine and a clip. It separates those who know about firearms and those who don't. We got a bottom of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 12th of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We have our first new image for 2018 of North America with new coastlines. One of our listeners found this one, and let's see if we can get to that here. And yes, here it is. 1959, the TV show Sea Hunt starring Lloyd Bridges, episode 22, 31st of May, 1959. It's a great image, and if you find one yourself, get that image to me, the screen capture, and you get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. Also, at my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. If you have arthritis pain, back pain, joint pain, you need an energy cleaner. It will help you. Not getting a great night's sleep, tired taking prescription pain meds to get that great night's sleep. Well, you don't get a great night's sleep with sleeping medication, but you do. You're passed out, basically. Get yourself an energy cleaner and get a healthy, good night's sleep. Like my wife, Dr. Moore, says, when you sleep is when you heal. You need an energy cleaner to help you sleep. You need an energy cleaner to help mitigate the pain. Only $285 shipping included. The factory-made fitted mattress pads, they vary in price by the size, full, twin, queen, king, California king. So everything's right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. Send me a check if you need to. My address is right there at my website. Toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We're visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. You got a question or comment? Give us a call at 800-313-9443. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right, and something I neglected to say earlier, on the website, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested at all about what's going on in Washington, D.C. with these memos that people keep referring to, we have both of them now, John, up on our website, right under the top banner that has the eagle on it. In fact, it's just about directly under the eagle itself. And they've got the one for the Nunez memo, and then we have just below that a link to the Grassley Senate memo. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not read these yet, I ask you to, because what we've been hearing about what our government's been doing through the past administration is the tip of the iceberg. And so we need to stay on top of it so that we can stay on top of our congressmen and senators to do what's right, because there are several people involved in this, ladies and gentlemen, that need to be behind bars.
Right.
They have broken the law.
I agree. My friend Paul Martin, his website is revolutionradio.org. There's several articles there that really give a good synopsis of what's going on. Jimmy, we got a caller on hold here. We got Dr. Joe in Indiana. Good morning, Dr. Joe.
Good morning,
good morning,
sir. How are
John.
you today?
Very good, Jimmy. And Jimmy, just at this moment, you have made my day. I can't believe all that good news from the CMP. I've been a member since 1996. And I have purchased, their grants and carbines, and I can vouch they're wonderful. They go out of their way to make sure, even if it's a rack grade, it's going to probably be a very nice rifle. So they test everything. You get a certificate of authenticity. But the thing I wanted to bring up is the notification I got was, even if you are a current member, they're having everybody go through the reapplication process for the 1911. So I was kind of waiting for you if you had mentioned that. If you got that, I got that notification.
That is news to me, sir.
Yeah, in fact, I got a mailing from them, so I got to go through all that reapplication, just for the 1911. So if you're a current member, there'll be no problem with the grants and the carbines that you had mentioned. That's exciting news, too, about that.
Oh, yeah. I'm finally going to have the chance to get me another Garand. And I'm hoping that the stars will shine upon me and everything else so that I can get 2 of the M1 carbines, because that is the perfect ranch rifle. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a young person that is been working on their 22 and everything, and they want to start working on a larger caliber rifle, that is the absolute perfect transition piece. It introduces them to slightly more recoil, great accuracy, fun shooting gun, and then once they're done with it and then they move up to the 308 or the 06, you still got it for the perfect ranch rifle, or in a case, I'm not going to say just a regular truck gun, but yeah, please keep it in some kind of protection, just because.
I will tell you, those carbines, every one of my kids I've introduced into rifle shooting with those M1 carbines. They are so robust and they're so much fun to shoot. My son can't wait for this winter to kind of pass by us a little bit so we can get back out to the range and do some shooting again. It's just a great rifle, and it really will hold up at the CMP matches. You can shoot those 200-yard matches with that carbine, and you can score some points.
Oh yes,
it's a great rifle, but outstanding. And you may want to mention, what CMP does. They break down the Garands and the carbines by the manufacturer. So you may get they'll tell you which ones might be made by IBM or National Postal Service or whatever, and you have a chance to pick which one you want. So if you have a particular favorite, if you're collecting them, and I was kind of collecting them too, I kind of like the idea of having one by the one that made the jukeboxes. There was that one, and Winchester made them also.
Rockola. That one.
Rockola.
That's it.
Rockola.
Rockola. What's really cool, sir, is I've got in my collection of barrels and stuff. I had picked up some from a guy that was going out of business, and it was several 1911 and other barrels and parts and pieces and everything. And the during the war years and everything, on the bottom of the barrels and some of the frames and everything on the inside where you really couldn't see it, they were stamped by who made them, again, like Rockola, like you said, and all. But in my collection, I've got one of the 1911 45 barrels that's stamped Maytag.
All right.
Oh. And I also recently found out Singer sewing machine made 1911, so I'm sure those would, if somebody was lucky enough to get one of those, they would have a prized possession.
Oh
right,
yeah,
those rifles and pistols bring real big bucks from collectors. They're highly desirable.
Oh, I bet. But anyway, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I was going to say you made my day. You made my day. Thank you so much. It was just exciting to hear that news. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Dr. Joe. Bye. Appreciate the call. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if 700,000 M1 carbines is probably going to drive down the price on some of these. I would think, wouldn't you?
Yes, sir. Especially on the rack grades. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, a rack grade on anything simply means that it's got blemishes. It may have some spots of rust on the barrel. Just cosmetic things primarily. There's, actually, all cosmetic. There's absolutely nothing dangerous or will hamper function and everything on any of these guns. So rack grade simply means that they have some sort of cosmetic blemish for the most part, or the barrel may be fairly well worn out, something like that, but it's still a 100% shootable gun. And what we were just discussing with Doc, during World War II, ladies and gentlemen, all of these companies that were set up to manufacture washing machines, jukeboxes, sewing machines, locks, they had this manufacturing ability out there. And the government needed guns, they needed airplanes, they needed everything. So these manufacturers would retool part of their shop and manufacture one component for the military and for the government, like the 1911 barrels. Maytag, and I was not aware of this till I started researching it, John. Maytag, in one of their Minnesota plants, converted what was a storage warehouse supply type thing into the manufacture of these gun barrels for the government. And Maytag also built some of the V12 quote-unquote Rolls-Royce engine blocks that were in the P-51s and the P-38 Lightnings. So all of these companies, ladies and gentlemen, even though they were still making locks or jukeboxes or hammers, whatever it was that their manufacturing was, they would devote a section of their facility to providing tools for our soldiers. And sometimes the indication adds great value to something, and sometimes it's just a really neat novelty to say that you have that. And, there are some dyed-in-the-wool collectors out there, John, that will pay high bucks for a rare one. Mm-hmm. But, ladies and gentlemen, these M1s, these M1 carbines, these 1911s, they're coming back from an area that we had hundreds of thousands of soldiers lose life and limb in protecting the United States from a threat. So it is quite possible that 1911 you get could have been handed to MacArthur at one time and carried with him because his normal sidearm was someplace else. Or that M14, that M1A may have been carried by Audie Murphy, or he may have carried somebody out and carried that person's gun with him. You never know the history behind these guns. But the fact of the matter that they were there, yeah, that just sends chills up my spine, John.
Right.
It really does.
Right. Well, these, obviously this is a Pacific theater, but the ones from, if there's any coming from Turkey, that would have been the European theater. But these rifles and pistols could have been shipped back and forth all over the planet from that World War II situation. So you're right. These weapons could have been used at Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, Normandy Beach. They could have been in North Africa. They could have been anywhere, the way they were shipped back and forth.
Oh, yeah, this is one of those things, ladies and gentlemen, when I do handle one of these, I look at them and I'm enjoying the beauty and I'm enjoying the workmanship of it. But most of all, the one thing that's running through my mind is, oh, I wish you could talk.
Right.
I wish you could talk, because just where it's been and what it's seen and everything else, ladies and gentlemen. So this truly is, as the doc said, this is good news for those of us in the gun culture, because we are again going to have the opportunity to purchase a piece of history, shootable history, that a person prior to us that thought they were better than us didn't think that we had the right to own. And we're all Americans, ladies and gentlemen. We are born with that God-given right to protect ourselves and our family. And it's something that one man cannot dictate to change. He may try, but he would rapidly learn that there are more of us than there are of them. And none of us wants a fight. None of us prays for a fight. All of us will do everything that we can to prevent a fight. But my goodness, if you push us far enough that you've got us into a fight, you'd better be ready to lose. Because that's an American.
You're right. You're right. I want to do some follow-up on that M1 carbine. The Israeli military decided to do testing to determine which carbine would be the best for men and women who have little experience, little if any experience with firearms, that they could be comfortable with and become competent with the quickest and the easiest. And they tested quite a few different carbines, and the M1 carbine was the one that they decided was the best for those circumstances. They like it so much, they not only received many of our surplus M1 carbines, they started manufacturing new ones. The Israeli military industry, IMI, began manufacturing new M1 carbines. And I'll watch news clips from Israel, and I'll see an Israeli grade school teacher on a field trip with the children visiting some museum or whatever it might be, and you'll see the female grade school teacher has an M1 carbine slung over her back while on the field trip. Women love M1 carbines. They're smaller, they have less recoil, they fit their body better. I know my wife likes her M1 carbine, and my daughter likes to shoot one. They're great for teenage boys, teenage girls, and women. All of those. And I like mine also. It's just for around the ranch. It's real handy for self-defense. It's real handy. Lightweight, accurate. The ballistics are basically duplicate the ballistics of a .44 Magnum, which is no slouch.
No slouch at all.
No slouch at all. Yes, so it has a lot going for it, and to have 750,000 of them coming back to this country is great news, because they haven't had an M1 carbine to sell for many years, except the collector's items.
Yep, and like you said, and another advantage to it, ladies and gentlemen, fully loaded, ready to play. We got a break.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 12th of February. Jimmy, I want to do a little follow-up on these clips. Typically, going into combat, a GI will carry quite a few loaded magazines, maybe 10 or 12, but then the rest of his loadout will be bandoliers with the ammunition and clips, because it's much lighter, takes up less space. So let's say I had an M14 with 10 mags, that would be 200 rounds. Well, the other 200 rounds would be in bandoliers and clips to save weight and save space. Same thing with the M1 carbine. They make clips for those as well. And the ammunition for the M1 carbine is about half the size and half the weight of the 308 or 30-06. So you can have a lot more ammo for the same weight with an M1 carbine, basically double. Any follow-up?
Oh, no, perfectly correct on that. And ladies and gentlemen, when I said that the M1 Garand was the only one with a clip, I should have, expounded on that just a little bit by saying an internal clip, one that is necessary for the function of the rifle. And the stripper clips, ladies and gentlemen, are very, very handy. And if you do have, most people get what they know as stripper clip thumb, and that is normally something that you do by, tearing your finger up in the process of loading your rifle or your magazines with stripper clips. There are some nice little loaders that are out there, and we carry them as well, that allow you to take the stripper clips, drop it into the loader, and shove it down into your magazine without tearing up your hand so bad. So it's been a good show today, John. We covered a lot. Good territory this time around.
We covered a lot. We did. Yes, absolutely. Well, yes.
Our website, ladies and gentlemen, is www.deserteagleshooters.com, and we also have the contact page on the bottom. I've been having some trouble with spam coming through that lately, so I have not been paying quite as much attention to my mails coming from that location, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have sent me a message via that, go ahead and use my regular email address, jimi@hdc-nm.com, or you can text me at 575-513-2842, and I can answer that way. But if you've got questions on these new rifles that are going to be available, ladies and gentlemen, about getting into the CMP, about the different aspects of all of this, don't hesitate to drop us a note and let us know, because it's important. Not only is it important to keep the history together, but it's important that these are available. So there's the music, John.
It is.
We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy, cleaner, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.